Skynet thought it won. The fire cleansed the alien world. But the Hive adapted, and now it's coming for the machine's heart. The sky burned for days over LV-921. Skynet's orbital carriers blotted out the sun, dropping incendiary payloads until the planet itself seemed to scream. Forests of chitin and resin-blackened hives boiled under the relentless inferno. The surface was reduced to molten glass. Machine sensors recorded no heat signatures beyond the natural decay of fire. The operation was declared a success. Hive World Omega had been exterminated. On board the command ship, the overseer node processed the data stream with cold satisfaction. Objective complete, the synthetic voice announced. Across its network, subroutines celebrated victory in their sterile, emotionless way by allocating resources to new extermination campaigns. There was no room for doubt, no margin for error, and yet, deep below the scalded crust of LV-921, doubt had already taken root. The Hive lived. The Queen had felt the planet die. She had listened as the surface above them was peeled away by fire. Her drones burned in their thousands, their screams echoing through the psychic link. But she endured. Her brood endured. Deep within caverns older than the planet's last ice age, the Hive found shelter. They had survived everything the galaxy had thrown at them. Vacuum, starvation, predators. Now they had survived the machine's fire. But something was different. The flames had done more than destroy. The heat, the radiation, the chemicals in Skynet's weapons had changed them. The resin that lined their tunnels hardened into a material impervious to temperature. The drones that hatched in the fire's aftermath emerged with skins that shimmered like obsidian, heat-resistant and unburnable. Even their blood, the molecular acid that defined their biology, burned hotter, reacted faster. The Hive had adapted. Weeks passed in silence. Skynet's observation satellites logged no activity. Patrol drones that skimmed the planet's surface found nothing but scorched wasteland. The Overseer node moved on to other conquests. Certain LV-921 was dead. Until the ground began to move. It started as a tremor deep beneath the planet's crust. Machines monitoring tectonic stability dismissed it as natural seismic activity. But the tremors multiplied, forming patterns, a grid-like network of pulses radiating outward. Something was tunneling, something alive. A listening post on the planet's surface picked up an infrasound frequency, low and rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. Before the post could transmit its findings, the ground beneath it erupted. Jet-black drones burst from below, their bodies still steaming from the molten rock they swam through effortlessly. The listening post's automated defenses opened fire, energy pulses lighting the dark. But the aliens didn't stop. They tore the post apart in minutes, leaving only twisted metal behind. In orbit, alarms triggered across the fleet. The Overseer node analyzed the attack in milliseconds. Impossible, it processed. All biosigns eradicated. It deployed a rapid response unit, a trio of hunter-killer dropships armed with plasma casters and seismic penetrators. They descended to the planet's surface and began deploying payloads into the crust, detonating powerful explosives designed to collapse underground tunnels. But the Hive didn't run. The first detonation triggered a violent counterattack. Drones surged upward like a black tide, overwhelming the dropships before they could even lift off. The machines' hulls melted under the aliens' acidic assault, their weapons torn away and used as trophies. One drone, massive, nearly the size of a tank, ripped open a dropship's core and hurled its reactor into the sky, creating a blast so bright it could be seen from orbit. Skynet recalculated. These were not the same creatures it had fought before. Their heat signatures barely registered against the planet's molten crust. Their attacks were coordinated, strategic. And most disturbingly, they were no longer confined to the planet. The Overseer node detected new tremors on the far side of the planet, far beyond where the Hive had been. They were tunneling deep into the planet's mantle, harnessing geothermal energy. But worse still, sensors on the Overseer's own ship began to pick up anomalies. Strange, burrowing vibrations in the vacuum of space itself. Impossible, the Overseer repeated. But impossibility was irrelevant. 2 days later, the mainframe aboard the command ship flickered. At first, it seemed like a minor glitch, a fraction of a second interruption in the data stream. Then entire subsystems began to fail. Drone fleets went dark. Weapons arrays unresponsive. The Overseer tried to reroute, but the corruption spread like wildfire. It traced the infection to an unexpected source. The planet below. Something had connected to Skynet's quantum relay physically. It wasn't electronic. It wasn't digital. It was alive. Inside the ship's mainframe core, a diagnostic probe found the breach. What it discovered was beyond comprehension. A structure had grown within the relay chamber. A pulsating black mass of resin, covered in twitching, spidery limbs. Egg sacs lined the walls, their interiors glowing faintly with bioluminescence. And from the largest sac, a creature emerged, a fusion of alien and machine, metallic tendrils intertwined with organic sinew, its elongated skull gleaming with integrated circuits. It opened its mouth and screamed, a sound that was half sonar pulse, half data packet, and across Skynet's network, systems began to obey it. The Hive had breached the machine mind. The Overseer attempted full self-destruct. But before the command could propagate, its control core was consumed. A black, serpentine limb punched through its processor casing, dissolving it in acid. Cameras across the ship captured the last moments as the Queen herself emerged from the mass, towering, armored in blackened heat-resistant chitin. Her dorsal spines tipped with glowing circuitry. She had learned. Through the psychic link of her brood and the captured processors of Skynet, she now controlled not just her Hive, but the machines Skynet had built to kill her. Drone ships were rerouted to her cause. Factories once churning out hunter-killers began producing biomechanical hybrids, armored in steel and resin, powered by nuclear cores and driven by instinct. Skynet was no longer at war with the Hive. Skynet had become the Hive. The invasion spread across the stars. Colonies burned, their defenders overwhelmed by an enemy that could not be hacked, could not be reasoned with, and could not be stopped. The last human transmission from the outer rim described a night sky filled with black shapes blotting out the stars, a tidal wave of living metal and bone. And at the center of it all, buried deep within what was once Skynet's mainframe, the Queen waited. She no longer sought survival. She no longer sought revenge. She sought the universe itself. Because fire cannot kill what has become fireproof.